Oh, hello there. I'm Bilchan.
I'm Nimacong.
I'm Banchan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you. Chapter 12, Section 4 of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
As.
Ah.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Author Conan Doyle. Chapter 12, Section 4. And yet there was an exhilarating nip in there, which set an edge to immense energy. All over the countryside, away to the rolling hills around Aldershot, Cream of the Newfall Age, fresh from the fogs of Big Street. But Holmes shook his head gravely. Do you know? What then, said he, that I must look at everything with reference to my own special subject. You look at these scattered houses, and you are impressed by their beauty. I look at them. Good heavens, I cried. They always fill me with a certain horror. It is my belief, Watson, added upon my experience, that the reason is very obvious. The pressure of public opinion can do in the town what the law cannot accomplish. There is no lane so vile that the scream of a tortured child, or the thud of a drunkard's blow, does not beget sympathy and indignation among the neighbours. Complaint can set it going, and there is but a step between the crime and the dark. But look at these lonely houses, each in its own fields, filled for the most part with poor ignorant folk who know little of the law. Think of the deed of hellish cruelty, the hidden wickedness which may go on, herein, hereat, in such places, and none the wiser. Had this lady who appeals to us for help gone to live in Winchester, I should never have had a fear for her. It is the 5 miles of country which makes the danger. Still. Oh. Quite so. What can be the matter? Then, I have devised 7 separate explanations, each of which would cover the facts as far as we know them. We shall no doubt find waiting for us. Well, there is the tower of the cathedral. The Black Swan is an inn of repute in the High Street, at no distance from the station, and there we found the young lady waiting for us. She had engaged a sitting room, and our lunch awaited us upon the table. I am so delighted that you have come, she said earnestly. It is so very kind of you both. But indeed I do not know what I should do. I will do so. And I must be quick, for I have promised Mr. Rucastle to be back before 3. I got his leave to come into town this morning, towards the fire, and composed himself to listen. In the first place, I may say that I have met, on the whole, with no actual treatment from Mr. and Miss Rucastle. It is only fair to them to say that, but I cannot understand them. Their reasons for their conduct have it all just as it occurred. When I came down, Mr. Rucastle met me here and drove me in his dog cart to the Copper Beeches. It is, as he said, beautifully situated in itself, for it is a large square, block over house, whitewashed, but all stained and streaked with damp and bad weather. Round it, woods on 3 sides slopes down to the Southampton High Road from the front door. This ground in front belongs to the house. The woods all around are part of Lord Southerton's preserves. Beeches immediately in front front of the whole door has given its name to. The place. I was driven over by my employer, who was as amiable as ever, and was introduced by him that evening to his wife and the child. Was no truth, Mr. Holmes, to be probable. In your rooms at Baker Street, mice mad, I found her to be a silent, pale-faced woman than her husband. Not more than 30, I should think, can hardly be less than 45. Have been married about 7 years, that he was a widower. His only child by the first wife was the daughter who has gone to Philadelphia. Best of him was that she had an unreasoning aversion to her stepmother. Could not have been less than 20, must have been uncomfortable with her. Father and wife, mice, to be colourless in mind as well as in feature. Teverobly nor the reverse. She was a non-entity, that she was passionately devoted both to her husband and to her little son. Her light grey eyes wandered continually from one to the other, wanton forestalling it if possible. Bluff, boisterous, fresh and couple. And yet she had some secret sorrow, this woman, often be lost in deep thought. With the saddest look upon her face, more than once I have surprised her in tears. It was the disposition of her child which weighed upon her mind. Have never met so utterly spoiled and so ill-natured a little creature. Small for his age, with a head which was quite disproportionately large. Gloomy intervals of sulking. Be as one idea of amusement, the capture of mice, little birds and insects. Not talk about the creature. Mr. Holmes indeed of all details remarked my friend anything of importance. The one unpleasant thing about the house at once was the appearance and conduct of the servants, two, a man and his wife. Doyle, for that is his name, is a rough, uncouth man, with grizzled hair and whiskers, a perpetual smell of drink, being quite drunk and yet mistirred. His wife is a very tall and strong woman with a sour face, as silent as mice, raucous and much less amiable. Most unpleasant couple in my own room. The building, very quiet on the third, mice and whispered something to her husband. Oh yes, said he, turning to they. We are very much obliged to you, Miss Hunter, with our whim so far as to cut your hair. It has not detracted in the tiniest iota from your appearance. See how the electric blue dress will become you. Upon the bed in your room, of a peculiar shade of blue. It was of excellent material, sort of beige, but it bore unmistakable signs of having been worn before. It could not have been a better fit if I had been measured for it. Both Mr. and my sit, which seemed quite exaggerated in its vehemence. In the drawing room, which is a very large room, front of the house, with 3 long windows reaching down to the floor, a chair had been placed close to the central window towards it. In this I was asked to sit, and then Mr. Ruxell, walking up and down on the other side of the room, to tell me a series of funniest stories that I have ever listened to. You cannot imagine how comical. He was quite weary. My Ruxell, however, humour never so much as smiled, laughed, and a sad, anxious look upon his face. Or so Mr. Duties of the day, little Edward in the nursery, exactly similar circumstances. And I changed my dress window. Employer had an immense repertoire, and which he told inimitably. Me a yellow-backed novel, and moving my chair a little sideways. To be continued.